Hey, what's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate Tool Reviews. Here is a fun tool that I have been trying to find a sweet deal on forever. Of course, you guys know I do a lot of eBay shopping, love finding deals on tools. I don't mind buying tools used by any means, especially Makita stuff. Really never had any issues with Makita stuff ever, which has been awesome. Hard to say that for when I've had DeWalt Milwaukee stuff. Had a lot of issue with that stuff in the past, but Makita for me has been absolutely phenomenal. So I have no problem finding, mildly beat up tools on eBay for awesome deals and buying them. So have not opened this thing yet. Just got this in from, was this USPS thing, delivered this today. Finally found a good deal on this tool. Very uncommon tool. I don't like using the word rare per se, because I mean you can buy this tool from other places, but does this tool ever go on sale? Pretty much never. I've never once seen this tool on sale. So let's check this thing out. And of course, yeah, it's used and it looks pretty decent from the photos. All right, check that out. Now you may be thinking, hey, I've seen this before. This is a pretty common tool here, but the anvil on this thing, this is a 1/4-inch anvil. This is going to be the Makita XWT13. If you're wondering, hey, this thing looks pretty familiar, well, it's because, of course, you can buy the 3/8-inch anvil pretty much everywhere. This thing is a super common tool. I've got two of these in both teal and black because I use them all the time. This 3/8-inch design on this is phenomenal. Very thin. Yeah, it's got a long head on it, but it's a very thin, very maneuverable tool. I absolutely love this tool. And I've always wanted the 1/2-inch version, but it's expensive. It's definitely not cheap. Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it at Home Depot, but it never, ever goes on sale. And it's not known for being a very powerful impact driver. I would kind of argue it's one of the more weaker ones from pretty much any brand. But you can usually find the 3/8 ones on eBay for right around $60 or cheaper if you really, really look and are patient to try to find one. But the 1/2-inch versions, I've never really seen go for under $100. I picked this thing up for right around $60. So I'm like, man, that's an awesome deal. I went kind of back and forth with making an offer on it too on eBay for a little bit, trying to get a better deal. I did get a little better deal on this thing, so I'm pretty happy with what I got this thing for. And of course, let's see here. I think this thing works fine out of the box here. Yeah, looks like it's all good. No issues at all there. So that's pretty sweet. Let's check out the build date on this thing. It's going to be the 11th month in 2018. So this thing's about, 7 years old, which on a Makita, that's nothing. That thing's just getting broken in. Now, if you're wondering, yes, Makita actually does make this in 1/2-inch, 3/8-inch, and you can also get 1/4-inch. But you can only get the 1/4-inch, as far as I'm aware, in the CXT version, which is their 12-volt version. So it's cool picking up each one of these. And I will say the 1/4-inch has actually been kind of useful. I don't use it as much as I thought I would use it. But when you do need a smaller bit and you got something that's kind of torqued on, sort of, having a smaller 1/4-inch impact like this is super handy. Now, the only downside is the WT04. That's going to be a brush motor in there. I don't think you can get this. Well, you might be able to get this in brushless, but I don't think I've seen that before. So cool to actually get this in the 1/2-inch design here. And of course, these are identical power ratings. I have not seen anything different in power ratings. I know only the anvil changes in these things. So if you guys have seen the review on the 3/8-inch version, it's identical to the 1/2-inch version, which if you're wondering, no, it's not a lot of power. I'll go and show you guys on a lug nuts here that's been torqued down with a mid-torque. Can this thing pull it off? I'm probably going to say no, but I'll show you guys anyways, just so I can show you guys kind of this tool in action here a little bบ. But it's cool to get one of these. They're not very common tools. They're quite rare. Is it handy to have one in a 1/2-inch? I kind of think so. I mean, you can, of course, put an adapter on this and make it 1/2-inch, but then you make it significantly longer yet, too. So not a huge fan of that. But I'm kind of always, always checking eBay, always checking for deals and stuff I can find. And if I can find a decent deal on something like this, that's, not a common tool from Makita, I always try to grab it right away. So let's go and check this thing on some lug nuts. I don't think it's going to do much, but we'll check it out anyways. All right, nice and cool actually having a 1/2-inch anvil here. This is going to be the pin detent style. I don't know if they make the hog ring style in this 1/2-inch. I'll have to check on that. If they do, guys, I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link in the description. We'll check this one on Amazon. I think it's like $150, $160 on Amazon, something like that, from what I believe. But let's see if we can pop these lug nuts off. I'm going to say no, but let's find out. Yeah, it's not popping that one off. Okay, so obviously it's not going to do lug nuts. That's pretty easy to determine there. So what is this tool actually useful for? Well, pretty much if you want to do just basic work on a vehicle, it's a great tool to have for just pulling off, regular nuts and bolts. Nothing too crazy. Of course, I like to use a mid-torque for a lot of stuff, but when you're working on stuff like, say you're taking bolts out of a hood, or you're working on, some light exhaust work here and there, popping in an alternator. I use this actually significantly for when I did work on the replacing a lot of the brake parts on my Tacoma. This thing came in handy like crazy. It could fit in a lot of spots where a lot of other impacts just can't fit. So having these more compact impact wrenches that aren't very powerful, they're super handy to have. And of course, when I did all the Tacoma stuff, I did a ton of build videos on that. This tool came in like handy like crazy. And I always thought to myself, man, it'd be cool to have a 1/2-inch version of this for, using some larger sockets. I didn't really need to use a mid torque because I've got a few other larger, impacts. But the head on this thing is such a cool design of having it, nice and thin. Yeah, it's long, but nice and thin there allows you to get into a lot of hard to access places. Having a 1/2-inch version of that is also super, super handy to have. So guys, that's kind of all I've got for you on this tool here. It's a cool tool to have, but again, don't expect a ton of power out of this thing. Yeah, I could do some testing with, throwing lag bolts in this thing all day long. It's really not going to show you guys anything though, because it's really not designed to be just a massive powerhouse. If you want a powerhouse, go for a mid-torque, high torque, of course, but this is a great tool to have for just general purpose, removing bolts that aren't, totally rusted on, easy to get off stuff. This is the tool to pick up, guys. So I'll put a link in the description, guys. You want to check this out, the XWT13. Not a very common tool. Never goes on sale, never goes on clearance. I've seen these things once in a while on eBay, never for a good deal. Finally found a good deal, finally grabbed one. So happy to finally grab one at this point, guys. So guys, take care, have a great day. You got any questions, let me know in the comments below, and stay safe out there.